is CTV News.
Good evening, I'm Sanjay Maru. Thanks for joining us. We'll have the latest developments in this ever-escalating trade war between the U.S. and Canada in a moment. But first, tributes are pouring in for the late, great Dolly Parton. The Queen of Country was no stranger to Windsor, taking the stage here a decade ago. And as CTV's Robert Lothian shows us, her impact is still felt to this day.
Almost 10 years to the day Dolly Parton rose to the stage at Caesars Windsor, her face still emblazoned on the building. From hit songs like I Will Always Love You to her iconic hair and no shortage of rhinestones, Dolly Parton left her mark on the world, and Windsor was no exception.
People come in all the time asking for her CDs and vinyls.
At downtown Windsor's Dr. Disc, her records still fly off the shelves.
Hey, Jolene, that's a big one.
Writing and performing hit after hit, her music transcending generations.
Songs they've heard from their parents and stuff like that, so it's kind of a nostalgic thing for a lot of people.
Parton's passing comes only days after sharing she was dealing with health issues.
I don't know if I can think of another artist in any genre of music who was as universally loved as Dolly Parton.
Her place on the charts and on the screen, though, only tell half the story. Beyond the glitz and the glam, Parton was a philanthropist, rising from one of 12 children in a small Tennessee cabin to a world-renowned artist who never stopped giving back.
She worked very quietly behind the scenes, putting books into hands of kids. She was a huge advocate for literacy, children's literacy, with her Imagination Library. She was just a really good person who was authentic.
Leaving behind a life with many lessons to take from it.
She was inclusive without being preachy. Just do you, I will do me. She was a true individual who could laugh at herself. She never took herself too seriously. She didn't pretend to have the answers to everything. She just wanted to be kind.
Dolly Parton was 80 years old. Robert Lothian, CTV News, Windsor.
Well, from makeup to smartphones and kitchen appliances, we now know how the federal government will hit back against new U.S. tariffs and how it plans to support businesses and workers. Canada's counter tariffs are targeting $27.6 billion worth of American imports. The federal government says for each product, the Canadian tariff will match the American tariff. Some of the U.S. sectors targeted include steel and aluminum, seafood and dairy, consumer goods, plastics, paper and apparel, agricultural equipment, as well as appliances and electronics from the U.S. are among the industries hit hard by these counter tariffs, as Canadians will be encouraged more than ever to buy Canadian. CTV's Heather Wright now on what this means for consumers.
Among the products soon to be hit with a 50% reciprocal tariff are many that are sold here at Brentview Electronics.
It is going to be, without using a bad term, a horror show for us going forward while everybody is up in the air on what's happening today, tomorrow, next week.
The family business sells TVs and speakers and does wiring and installations.
Sonos is our bread and butter. It is the app.
Steve DeWeerd says with costs up in general, another spike will likely keep many would-be customers on the sidelines.
If there is a 50% cost on wire that we put in new construction houses or renovations, it's going to bring the whole budget up and might put the average consumer on a holding pattern.
More than 800 different products were included in a list released by Ottawa, from fish to appliances to carpets. U.S.-made cosmetics will also be tariffed, including nail polish. Stella Pham just opened this nail salon in Toronto and hopes she won't have to raise prices for her customers.
We will make the best way to make this client feel happy about it, and we feel happy about it too.
Also on the list, vital materials for infrastructure, including fiber optic cables, network cables, and building materials.
Whether people are building homes or developers are building homes, or whether they're looking to build data centers or universities, I think those things are going to be changing the way that we look at expenses in a big way.
Many businesses say they are trying to prepare as much as possible, but in this environment full of uncertainty, it is hard to predict how this situation might unfold. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has a new target in his trade war. This time, it's Lake Ontario. The U.S. president says he's giving, quote, serious consideration to renaming it, quote, Lake America, saying he doesn't expect the U.S. to do much business with Ontario anymore. The lake, of course, is shared by Ontario and New York State. But what do Ontarians make of this latest shot from the president?
First of all, it's international water, so he has no right to rename a body of water that is not American. So I think he needs to learn a little bit of geopolitics and understand the way the world works.
He's delusional. We all know that.
Once again, he hasn't given this any thought whatsoever, and that's the way he speaks. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Yeah, obviously he can't do it. And we like Lake Ontario because we're in Ontario.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Since it's been that probably for 200 years, I'm going to guess. But no, I don't know. I'm trying to remain calm, not get too heated about it, but it is frustrating for sure, yeah.
Now, it's not just Canadians rather reacting to all this. We wanted to know how Americans feel about this escalating trade war with Canada. And ironically, apologetic is the one word that kept coming up today. CTV's Michelle Molesky went to the Gordie Howe International Bridge to talk with Americans.
As an American, what do you think about how Trump is treating Canada these days?
We are horrifically embarrassed.
Americans streamed into Canada Tuesday, eager to check out the new bridge and reassure Canadians. Not everyone sides with the White House.
It's just a shame to treat our best ally, our friendly neighbor to the north.
In a highly unscientific experiment, I decided to spend 2 hours here at the Windsor side of the Gordie Howe International Bridge, chatting with Americans as they enter Canada. They all stopped to talk to me. However, a quarter of them said they couldn't express their thoughts on camera for fear of reprisal from American officials.
I don't understand why he's acting this way toward Canada, especially when he's acting much more friendly ways toward, more traditional U.S. enemies.
A lot of my friends, feel this is, it's not right how everybody's getting treated. Well, then there's some people that disagree with me.
Trump supporters Timothy and Colette Frederick didn't specifically comment on how the president is treating Canada, but they support his effort to focus on the American economy.
More clarification on, again, the disparity. Why is the United States charging more? And if we're getting more, if we actually are charging, getting less money from Canada, the disparity is going to continue to be not matched.
Somebody's got to say, well, if we don't do it now in 2026 and we keep, put it off, that's just going to make things worse. Plus, things are going to get more expensive whether you add tariffs or not.
Americans concede their own country is divided on President Trump.
All we can do is vote, go to the ballot boxes.
I don't think they see the value, and they don't know the fellowship, and they don't have the history, and we all do. We've always considered ourselves seamless, right? You just go to one and the other, and they're great. And you have arrow bars, and we don't.
Michelle Molesky, CTV News.
Now, following yesterday's verbal fireworks, Doug Ford took his fight with Donald Trump straight to American TV today with the volume turned down. The premier spent the day making his case directly to U.S. viewers with interviews on CNN, ABC, CBS, and Bloomberg. On CNN, Ford admitted things got, quote, a little heated yesterday after trading personal insults with the president. Today, a different message. Lower the temperature and get back to the table. Ford says he still wants a deal and is again warning Americans that tariffs hurt workers and consumers on both sides of the border.
Canada has to stand up for their sovereignty. He's not attacking every other country saying that we're the 51st state. That will never happen. Again, we're the #1 customer. We buy more goods and products off the U.S. and vice versa, by the way, than anywhere in the world. And I think we need to grow the pie, per se, and create more jobs, more opportunities on both sides of the border. And that's what we want to do. I think President Trump wants to hurt the American people.
Turning now to a testy end to Pierre Poilievre's Windsor press conference this morning, as one reporter loudly protested not getting to ask a question.
At the end of the day, it's about putting our country first.
Thank you. This concludes today's press conference.
All right. Thanks very much, everyone.
Hey. You're not letting CBC ask questions here. Hey. Dude, listen, sir.
The exchange came as Poilievre and local Conservative MPs were walking away, with the reporter from CBC Windsor calling out that he'd been waiting to ask a question. Poilievre's team tells CTV there was a time crunch, with the leader already late for a scheduled call with the Prime Minister. New data shows hospitalizations for both children and adults riding e-scooters has risen by nearly 40% in Canada. The Canadian Institute for Health Information says 837 people were admitted between April 2025 and March 2026. That was up from 601 in the same period the previous year. Fractures, head and brain injuries were among the most common reasons riders were sent to hospital. 150 kids required a hospital stay. That's compared to 54 children and adolescents the previous year. Admissions for kids 15 years of age and under almost tripled. 10 kids died from using e-scooters or e-bikes in 2025. The report calls for better policy coordination and public education to clearly communicate the laws. Well, you or your children may have those soft, squishy fidget toys, the one you squeeze for relief. But counterfeit versions of popular brands are being sold online that could leak, break open, and pose a serious health risk. As CTV's Pat Foran reports, safety officials again say there are some knockoffs being sold online that could contain toxic chemicals.
Loved by kids, the bright, colorful squishy balls are often marketed as calming sensory tools. But there have been cases showing the sticky gel from some toys left kids with red, irritated, or peeling skin. Amazon told CTV News following safety concerns, some squishy toys have been removed from its website. Earlier this month, the Consumer Product Safety Commission issued a warning about fake and counterfeit squishy toys that may pose serious risks to children. Consumer Reports found children were injured after squishy toys burst open.
We do know that the risks are not just limited to counterfeit products. And we know that because as part of our investigation, our safety experts bought several toys and tested the gel inside. And one had an acidic pH, the same as lemon juice or vinegar. And a pH like that can cause severe skin irritation, especially in children who have more delicate skin.
Health Canada received 32 reports regarding squishy toys. 4 mentioned an injury such as headache, skin rash, and difficulty breathing, and is reviewing the reports to determine whether the products meet all regulatory requirements. It's difficult and sometimes impossible for a parent to determine based on a package or online listing whether a squishy toy is counterfeit. And many of the incidents reported involved name brand products purchased at major retailers.
Right now, parents need more information because the safety risks may not just be limited to fake or off-brand toys.
Health Canada warns do not leave squishy toys in hot cars in direct sunlight on dashboards or other hot surfaces, as heat can cause them to burst and become a dangerous burn hazard. If your child is playing with these squishy toys, a few strategies can keep them safe. Don't give gel-filled toys to babies or toddlers. Check for holes or tears frequently, and if one does break on your child's skin, wash it off right away and throw out the toy. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Still ahead, Detroit newlyweds take their wedding photos to new heights. How a trek across the Gordie Howe Bridge becomes a symbol of love on both sides of the border. CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald joining me now for a look at the forecast. Gary, back-to-back gorgeous days of weather yesterday and today, hoping for the trifecta heading into tomorrow.
You're right about that. It's been lovely. And temperatures seasonal. Tomorrow starts off sunny just like today, and we'll see temperatures close to what we see here. In fact, 26 degrees is about normal for a daytime high between Windsor, Essex, Chatham, Kent, and the surrounds in extreme southwestern Ontario. Yes, the daily averages for maximums and minimums is getting lower with each passing day, as summer eventually will wind down towards the end of September. third week of, in fact. We are in this lull towards the east. Significant rain showers towards northwestern Ontario. A spin of low pressure. We can make out the clouds and, of course, a frontal boundary. In fact, two fronts that are working towards the lower Great Lakes. Eventually, the clouds will get here towards the middle of the afternoon. The winds will pick up. We'll get a good southerly push ahead of the cold fronts. The westerlies will start to stir things up along that boundary right through the heart of Michigan, headed towards Ontario. We could see showers, maybe even a light thunderstorm towards, say, 6, 7 p.m. So late afternoon, increase in cloudiness, and then the rain's coming towards us. I don't anticipate a huge amount of rainfall, but embedded in this line of storm activity, we certainly could see an isolated convective shower, and they're usually more potent than your garden variety, of course. Overnight temperatures projected before dawn Wednesday morning, 17 degrees Celsius. That's slightly above seasonal. Mostly clear with a light breeze, so it looks good for the overnight. Tomorrow morning starts off sunny. Through the midday, still sunny, but the wind's picking up. Still out of the south. We're in the warm sector of this system situation. Increasing cloudiness by 4 or 5 p.m. up to 28, feeling like about 31. So it's a warm day, but still comfortable enough. Showers towards 6, 7, 8 p.m. and thunder shower potential is there too. So expect it for the late day. Take in the sunshine to start things off. Thursday, clouding over, holding at 27. Then sunny through Friday, Saturday, fair and Sunday, and on Monday. Temperatures rising to 31 almost a week from now before tumbling down to 23. Let's look at your weather for the next 7 days. Sanjay, have you been enjoying the sunshine?
I have, Gary, and we'll see you later in the show. Canadians continue to face higher food prices amid the ongoing trade war, meaning parents could be paying more to fill up kids' lunch boxes when they return to school.
Things are easing, and we're also expecting a easier September as well. So vegetables are our savior right now. I mean, it's actually cheaper in the produce section. Of course, meat is still a problem. Bakery is actually quite affordable. Dairy is a non-story. So things are actually much better, easier to manage for families on a tight budget. September is also going to be the same thing, but the not so good news is that we are expecting a bit of an upswing when it comes to food inflation starting in October until the end of the year, an increase of maybe 6 to 7%, unfortunately.
Despite a slowdown, July marked the 18th straight month that grocery prices continue to outpace overall inflation. While Windsor and Tecumseh are getting some provincial help as they look to attract new business and develop available land, the province is providing $100,000 to help both communities build economic development strategies. As CTV's Bob Belichico explains, the plans include everything from Old Castle's industrial sector to new investment around Windsor's airport.
Windsor-Tecumseh MPP Andrew Dowey was in Tecumseh to announce $100,000 in funding for both Windsor and Tecumseh. So $50,000 for each community may sound like a drop in the bucket, but that money will be used by Windsor and Tecumseh to do studies to help them come up with strategies to help develop their rural communities. And this land behind me is a prime-time example of the land that's available for them to develop.
You have the urbanization of rural communities, but also the desire to retain the rural quality of life. So the Rural Ontario Development Program exists to help promote and support that rural quality of life.
Tecumseh is matching the investment and using the $100,000 to create an economic development strategy with the help of a consultant
who will really work with our local economic development representatives, Invest Windsor Essex, the Chamber, and look at seeking opportunities to broaden the economic base.
The town wants to know the needs of investors in order to create a project to present to council sometime next year. Part of their focus will be on this land in Oldcastle and the needs of the tool and die industry, which has been the backbone of the area since the 1970s.
Trying to understand how that works with the town's own strategies and the projects that we undertake, and how we can help them meet their investment goals.
In Windsor, the city is adding $100,000 to the investment, focusing on airport land, which they want to develop to complement the hospital.
As part of this work, we'll be developing a foreign direct investment strategy around what types of companies we should be attracting for that space as well.
There are 5 unique parcels of land ranging from 10 to 12 acres each. With trade tensions still straining Canada-U.S. relations, the opportunities are open to the world, including American companies.
Well, it just amplifies the need to ensure that we're putting our best foot forward.
We're also looking at bringing in new investment from various countries that Canada has trade agreements to help amplify the work that's happening at the airport.
The city will work through the master planning until the end of the year and bring something to council for consideration afterwards. Bob Belichico, CTV News.
On the markets, the TSX gaining 244 points, the Dow adding 160, the Nasdaq up 171. The Canadian dollar claimed a modest gain of 0.02 cents. Gold lost more than $3 an ounce as oil fell $2.65 a barrel. A program helping people battle problem gambling is getting a new name to match its reach beyond our region. Hotel Dieu Grace Healthcare's long-running program is now the Ontario Centre for Problem Gambling. It provides outpatient counseling and on-site treatment to people from across the province and recently completed its 300th residential treatment cycle. Hotel Dieu Grace says the change is in name only, with no changes to services, access, or referrals. Well, a proposed new border link could bring hundreds of transport trucks a day to Wheatley. But as CTV's Chris Campbell reports, it's raising questions about the impact on Wheatley's waterfront.
This is the proposed Canadian end of a new trade route that could connect Wheatley directly to Cleveland by water. The Port of Cleveland and Milo Harbor say a truck ferry could eventually handle up to 300 truckloads a day, with a target launch date of early 2028. The idea is being touted as a way to strengthen supply chains and take some pressure off busy highway and rail crossings. But Chatham-Kent-Leamington MP Dave Epp says there's a key hurdle that has to be cleared first.
This is proposing an international crossing. And so an international crossing, as we've learned with Gordie Howe and all the other ones, requires the resources of the CBSA, Canadian Border Services Agency.
Epp says his office has not been approached about the project, and he says the border agency would have to agree to staff and resource a new crossing. He also points to the potential impact of hundreds of trucks moving through Wheatley.
Obviously, what 300 trucks mean is economic activity. That's a good thing. 300 trucks also means traffic.
That's a concern shared by some residents, while others see an opportunity for the local economy.
I think it sounds like it's going to cost an awful lot of money, but if there's an interest and it's feasible, why not?
I think the infrastructure might not be there.
And for some people who spend their summers in Wheatley, the environment is top of mind. Todd and Kathy Biederwolf have cottaged here for 25 years.
And the first, concern I think would be environmental.
It would change that. It would change the traffic pattern within our little small community.
Chatham-Kent officials say the project could create new economic opportunities while acknowledging there are questions around the infrastructure, agriculture, and potential impacts on the community. The Port of Cleveland says planning, regulatory approvals, and operational details are still being worked out. We have also reached out to the Canada Border Services Agency for more information on what would be required to establish the new international crossing. The proponents are still targeting early 2028 for the service to begin, but there are a number of steps that would need to happen before the first truck can make the trip across Lake Erie. In Wheatley, Chris Campbell, CTV News.
Gary is back with a final look at weather. Gary.
Sanjay, I think tomorrow starts off beautifully, just like the last couple of days. And the rainfall that we could see tomorrow afternoon, I can't rule out some passing thunder shower activity as well. Note temperatures are slightly above seasonal, 2 degrees in fact tomorrow afternoon. Seasonal by about a degree Thursday, sunny, and then this beautiful break. Perfect timing. Friday through the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, even Monday. And temperatures on the way up from 25 to 31. 6 degrees there in terms of the variance. 23 degrees a week from now. That's cool. 3 degrees below average by that juncture. So protect yourself, use that sunscreen, and keep the umbrella nearby. That's the story in the next 24 hours. Wherever you are, enjoy your weather. Good night.
And we leave you now with the story of Detroit newlyweds who wanted to capture their special day in a memorable way. They did so, but it wasn't a walk in the park, more like a walk up a bridge. Here's CTV's Stephanie Mazzotti.
Chris Shreve and Taisha met 4 years ago on a blind date.
I thought that he was very sweet and kind, and I love the kind of father that he was, the way he felt so passionate about his children, you know, as do I about my daughter.
2 years ago, on their way to visit the Sky Bridge at Boyne Mountain in Michigan, he proposed mid-air on a ski lift.
I knew that it was him for me. You know, I was just waiting for him to catch up.
And on Friday, a civil ceremony surrounded by family members, both American and Canadian.
So I'm actually half Canadian. The Shreves is kind of a pretty large name of folks in Canada, Windsor, Pewes, Chatham. And, you know, it's kind of the history is of, you know, the Underground Railroad.
And then it was time to break a little sweat to take photos on the historic Gordie Howe International Bridge.
She's got this big dress on and all of that. We had to walk a half a mile and then the makeup and the hair, you know. So, but she said she was down, so we did it.
We met a lot of people, and people were kind of videoing us and taking pictures and congratulating us.
Chris scouted at the bridge the Monday prior to the wedding.
When I first got on the bridge, I was overwhelmed by just the magnitude, the design. It felt kind of like a surreal roller coaster ride. I mean, it's got a lot of artistic flavor to it.
The pair says despite a trade war between the two connecting countries, time will lead to strength and resilience.
And I'm sure that the American people and the Canadian people, we got much love. I don't think any of that has ever changed or will ever change. So I don't think that bond will ever be broken by any force, any administration, or anything like that. So it's all about love.
Stephanie Mazzotti, CTV News.
And a big congratulations to the happy couple. That is your news for tonight. Thanks for watching this edition of Windsor's News Leader. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at 6 and 11.